Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone, to another exciting edition of Stableside Discussions, Disputes, and Debates, where this is the ultimate place to get your cutie mark for arguing. Once again, I am, have been, and always shall be your humble host, Misfortune, and today marks a great day in the Equestrian Critics Society. We have just reached 500 members. It's been about a week since we hit that number, but I still can't believe it. It was only a few months ago when we set out to create a group that reviews fanfics. Our goal from the get-go was to provide reviews that would both help and promote the stories that we reviewed. Since we've undergone some major developments, from gaining and losing some talented critics to utilizing excellent databases made by our new and hardworking critics that I have had the distinct pleasure of working and subsequently debating with to make this group a better place to go to get your review. We're currently undergoing some potential changes, hopefully for the better, but we will know soon in time. For now, though, I wanted to dedicate this episode of SD3 to the people that have made it a true success, and that is our users. You guys have given us your stories and your overwhelming amounts of patience, and you've given us some good reads and some not so good reads that we're more than happy to help you and try and improve on. Every single one of you have been there for us along the way, chatting up and also arguing among our threads and making this group a great place. And I can't say we'd be nothing without you guys. So, to thank you all with all my heart, as the founder of the Equestrian Critics Society, thank you very much. You all are awesome. And I completely botched my lines there. To show my appreciation, today's show, where we'll be talking about the controversial Equestria Girls, we're bringing on some special guests of all, or the most special guests of all, our users. That's right, today is an all-TCS member panel, and we're going to be also bringing in a couple surprise guests, as you might be seeing right now. They will be sharing their thoughts on today's topic and can hopefully spark some fun debate for tonight's entertainment. So I bet we could drag in our feet and get to the introduction of our panel, shall we? First up, we have got Silent Sir 224.
Hello.
Next up, we've got CartsBeforeHorses.
Hello.
We've also got Kori Kitsune joining us today.
What's up?
We're joining us for some more intense discussions. We have got Pissfer.
Hello.
Next on the list, we have got Plebeian.
Hello.
Then we have Feather Scratch serving as our UK candidate representative on the show today.
Hello, everybody.
All right, and then we have our two special guests joining in on the fun. We have got Digibrony, the lovely, insane Digibrony even.
Hello.
And last but certainly not least, we have got Wonder D, making another yet surprise guest appearance.
Quite charmed to be here.
Excellent. And that makes up today's extremely large panel. So, hey, guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us on.
Nice to be here.
It's great to be here.
I would hope it is, because this is a fun place to be. Because all we do is come here and argue and just talk away the day.
It's the middle of the night over here.
Okay, fair enough.
Hey, not if you're on the Pacific Coast.
All right, as always, and as briefly as possible, let's get to know our panelists a little bit before we dive into today's topic. Silent Sir, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself? And this being our 500-member special for the Equestrian Critics Society, would you like to tell us a bit about your experience with the group?
Alright, I am Silent Sir. I have been a member of this group for 3 months when I submitted my first story for review. Still waiting on the review, but I'm patient about it.
All right, and you are a writer too, you would say? Very intense
Yes.
writer? What kind of stuff do you write?
Romance, adventure. I made my first one-shot comedy, but it's kind of a tank.
There's some respectable genres, popular genres, but hey, still some good genres nonetheless. Carts Before Horses. I love that name, by the way. It just rolls right off the tongue. Carts Before Horses. What do you have to share with us today?
Yes, well, I am both a comedic and a serious writer, and I've done actually 8 stories on FinFiction. None of them have gotten too incredibly popular. Like, I don't think I've ever hit the feature box, but, you know, I just keep plugging away and doing my stuff. Probably my 2 most successful stories is a comedy called Westboro and Equestria, which is about the Westboro Baptist Church getting whisked away to Equestria, and it's sort of also a Wizard of Oz crossover, like they sing like "If You Only Had Hearts" or whatever.
That sounds
You know,
like
the
a-
sad thing is, I remember exactly what happened when you submitted that story. I remember exactly what went on the chat for the moderators.
What went on the chat?
Yeah. It included the words, "This is awesome. We have to just approve this."
Well, thank you. And then
Hey.
my other serious story is called The Trouble with Unicorns. And it's sort of like a dark adventure sort of story where it's like the unicorns form their own kingdom based off of like racial supremacy principles. Like it has some comedy in it, but it's mostly serious. As for my experience with this group, I've been part of it for 3 months. Haven't had any of my stories reviewed, but I've read some of the reviews of the other stories. And you guys certainly seem to be the most professional review group out there. And I'm very happy to be a part of it and to be a part of this panel today.
All right, thank you very much. I'm glad to have you on here, man. Kori, what would you like to say in your brief time of fame here on the show?
Nothing really.
Come on, what do you do? What was your experience like with the group?
It was good. I haven't really done much with it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I guess we'll move on to Pissfer. Pissfer, my man, what would you like to tell us about yourself?
I've been around, joined the fandom in, what would it be now? 2011, September of 2011. Found all the stuff found a best of Fluttershy on the League of Legends forum, and it's gone on from there. Got into fan fiction about the end of season 2. First, I just read everything. Like literally, I probably read about 200 stories straight that were submitted to fan fiction.
Yikes!
After that, Then I started editing, and then I got to the point where I am a complete and total snob. I can't deal with anything that is not very, very well written anymore. Unless I'm editing it, in which case, I might be able to deal with it. But even then, it has to be so well written in the first place that, yeah. No ESL fix for me, guys. Sorry.
Cool beans. And what was your experience like with the group? Don't worry, you can tell us if you hated it. That is perfectly okay answer.
It's one of the things I joined because I figured I was going to look at stuff, and then I never really did. But I like the discussion group, so I'm here for the live stream stuff. Gotta love the live stream.
And you've given us a couple very good episodes, haven't you?
Yep.
Very, very intense debates, and I believe that was the season 4 prediction debate that we had you on.
Season 3 review and season 4 prediction.
Yes, that was an excellent episode. Plebeian. Plebadabada. Would you like to talk about yourself?
All right. Well, obviously, I am a flour sack,
No.
and
Tell by the flower
Madame
sack.
the Fleur.
I joined Finfic around November, and I'm still working on my first story, Dissonance. As far as my experience with the group goes, I joined just a few days ago, actually. By a strange turn of events, I'm the second 500th member of this group, actually. Yeah, there's a story behind that. One of my friends was in the group, and he thought he'd have some fun and leave the group right when it reached 500. So I joined it so it wouldn't actually go down.
I see.
Huh.
Real support for the cause.
Oh, that's what happened. I caught that chat.
All right, glad to know we have a firm supporter of the
I
cause.
caught that chat. I was wondering what you meant.
So, hey, Misfortune, since he's the 500th member, does he, win $1 million or something if he clicks on this blinking ad or something?
Well, we were going to have some prize to give away, but unfortunately we lost it somewhere on the internets. Somewhere on the internets. Feather Scratch.
Hello.
Scratch. What would you like to tell us about yourself?
Well, I am a brand new member of the group. I was actually turned on to this group by Dive Bomb. He's a friend of mine. I have written 4 stories to date, but I haven't had the opportunity to submit them for review yet. I will as soon as I possibly can.
Okie dokie. Well, that's good to hear. And I'd actually be very fascinated to read a couple of your cases you have going on, since Dive Bomb's a good writer, by the way. If you folks haven't heard of him, go check him out. But we had him come on our show 2 weeks ago, I think. Yeah, he had some good stuff to say. He's a good author, and Feather Scratch here is making a spin-off story.
Yes, it's called Curse of Coltonado. It's basically a Sherlock Holmes knockoff. But
And you've got cover art by Dive Bomb.
yes, it is based on Dive Bomb's Rifle Pony series. So it is hopefully a very good read. It's an adventure mystery. I noticed Film Fiction doesn't actually have a mystery tag, so this is kind of
You hear
my
that?
submission.
Get
to
on
it.
it.
Yeah, we need that because I just recently wrote a mystery story too.
See, it must be done.
It must
Yeah.
be done. We've had an Anther one. Surely we can get a mystery one here soon. That's awesome. All right, Feather Scratch. Maybe I'll have to read your story and see how that goes.
Please
Anyhow,
do.
I will do. And let's move on. Digibrony, if it wouldn't be too much trouble, would you like to tell my audience again who you are and what you do?
Well, since this is a film fiction discussion, I might as well just talk about my film fiction experience. So I joined the site probably, what is it? Oh, I happen to be on my page. So March 20th, 2012. And I didn't read a whole lot of fanfics. I read like a couple, because I just don't read much, but like in general. But I did enjoy a few and wrote one called Pinkie Pie's Toothache of Destiny, which was supposed to be like a 10-chapter adventure story, but I only wrote 2 chapters and then sort of just... I wanted to do more, but I didn't. And I was enjoying it, but that's about all that's there. Oh, and I also have another story called Digibrony in Ponyville, which is like a self-insert thing. But yeah, so... Yeah, that's my film fiction. My favorite fanfic is Vinyl and Octavia University Days.
Excellent. And if you folks don't know, Digibrony is one of them thorough analysis guys, or just analysis guys if you prefer. But he's pretty awesome at what he does. You should go check out his videos. They're very in-depth. And lastly, but not least, Wanderer D. D. Everybody knows you, but we got to get to know you again anyway. What do you do in our fantastic fandom?
I'm a moderator for film fiction, and I write just about anything that comes to mind, and I just throw it at the computer, and people seem to read it. And sometimes it's hail for more than it's worth, but it's fun nevertheless.
As writing should be. All right. Thank you guys for telling us a bit about yourselves and letting us in on your personal lives just a little bit. Now that we know who our panel is, let us jump into the topic. As I said earlier, the topic today is the extremely controversial Equestria Girls, a movie that has earned the love, confusion, or ire of our beloved fan base. Many people feel mixed about the movie. Some enjoyed the songs, the animation, the continuity of the show, and some of the humor, while others noticed some distaste in the plot, at least a couple of the songs, and the high school setting, and the extremely controversial Flash Sentry, who we are going to be talking about later on. Today, we're going to be talking with our panelists about all these things and maybe some little tidbits that they may or may not have enjoyed about the movie. But for starters, let's open the floor with a very broad opinion of the movie overall. It's basically some of its parts, just the whole thing as a whole, etc. So we know where everybody stands before we actually break down each element by their individual pieces and parts. So, who would like to take the floor?
I'll do it.
Oh, there you go.
I love the movie. I think it's fantastic, and that's my general opinion.
That's very detailed. I like that.
I thought it was really good despite some expectations with the trailer. I mean, the trailer sort of set me off. I really didn't want to see it after I saw the trailer, but I watched it anyway, and I thought it was pretty good.
I thought that's how everybody basically felt when they saw that.
So I dreaded it when I saw the trailer, but after seeing it, I love it.
See, I actually liked the trailer a lot
me-
when I saw it, so...
The first trailer scared me because the first
Yeah,
trailer made it look like a typical teenage high school
drama
movie.
Especially the music in the trailer.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
The second trailer, which showed the friendship thing, more than the look, there's a boyfriend.
It's
like,
high
okay,
school
this is
musical.
fine.
Well, I thought the second trailer actually showed us, okay, there may be something about this because there's an actual plot in there. Unlike most high school dramas, there kind of aren't. They're just drama for the sake of
most
drama.
high school dramas are romance. That is the
Yeah.
plot.
Yeah.
But they are drama for
Yeah.
the sake of drama, you have to
Yeah.
admit.
I guess I came from a different perspective because of the fact that everyone kept saying like, "Oh, it's going to be a high school story," and I've never watched like any American high school stories ever, but I've watched a ton of anime that take place in high school that are good. So for me, like the setting was not really a turnoff the way I think it was for a lot of people.
Wait, no American high school stories at all? Like
I'm
not
actually
even
jealous of you.
I
I'm
can't
Fuck
actually
you.
jealous.
or anything?
Yeah,
Back
why?
to the Future.
I mean, I grew up on Cartoon Network. I didn't watch any Disney or Nickelodeon shows, so like any of that stuff. I mean, I'm sure I've seen a couple of like cartoons that took place in high school or something, but like, yeah, not more than maybe one or two, and I don't remember them. You know?
I think
I see.
cartoons. I think the cartoons are in that particular subject was okay, but like because they were just cartoony nonsense. But there were some shows targeted at an audience like My Little Pony that
I mean, I've never seen like High School Musical. I've never seen like iCarly or whatever. I've
Oh,
never
yeah.
seen any of those kind of things.
Well, neither have I actually. So
I've seen a couple, and I might
I
have
watch
seen
the
movies.
commercials and I hate them. But speaking
I've
of
seen a few.
Equestria Girls, like I hated the idea from the beginning. Honestly, like when it was presented, the general gist of it was that it was going to be, a universe where everyone
Spin-off?
had been.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was just like an alternate universe where everyone was human.
Yeah, and
And
see that,
that-
I had the similar thing. When I first saw that when the first thing was posted, before we knew it was going to be a movie, I'm like, spin-off show? No, a spin-off show won't work.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if
Yeah,
that's where
that-
you were
that
going with
would've-
this, but that's
Yeah.
where I was. That's where I
In
went.
part,
I'm
but
glad it was
the
just-
idea that it was just like everyone had been human from the beginning it's just I hate that. Like even
Yeah.
fan fiction on a general rule, I don't mind actually how they did it in the movie. Like I ended up enjoying the movie, but much to my personal regret. But anyway, like I hated the idea that it would be just like everyone has been human. Ooh, when like I hate that even in fan fiction. I think that if it's part of a plot that like it happened that Twilight got turned into human and went into a similar world, that works.
It's more
But
acceptable.
if it because it's part of the story, like there's a reason that's happening. But
Right.
if it had everything is just with humans, then there's actually no reason for that to be like a series.
Yeah.
So basically,
What
it's
you mean.
okay as long as you have some sort of continuity to it.
It has
Well,
to have a reason for it. Like the thing is, if you're going to have like something about girls like that, like they should have just bought the rights for Lauren Foster's show. Galaxy.
Galaxy Girls.
Like, if that was what they were aiming for, then Girls was probably a better choice than like a series about ponies that were not ponies ever.
You brought up a good point because those trailers definitely kind of skewed expectations. Like that first one made us all think, okay, this is going to be a high school drama and the characters are human for no particular reason. That's what I think a
Well,
lot of us thought with that
I-
first trailer.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I
And the
mean,
second
it
is,
showed
there's a
that
plot.
Twilight Sparkle goes into the mirror even in the first trailer. It showed
We
that
know
she
but
was
we
going.
didn't
another
know we
world.
didn't know why. Like we thought she was just going there to explore. Or
I guess I
something.
didn't. I mean, I figured there was a
Learn
reason
magic.
for it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I
but
guess.
I'm talking at the very beginning, like when the idea came out and we didn't even have a trailer.
Well, see,
they
the
were
thing
just
is,
saying.
yeah. At the very beginning, when it was
We had the
like
picture.
just pictures of humans, I just didn't believe it was going to be real because there was
Yeah, I thought
reasonable
it was
doubt.
a
Like
hoax.
the
I still
sources,
refuse to call them humans.
right? Like yeah, and they're not
Not
humans.
abomination.
It's a interesting
quite
thing to bring
human.
up about that movie is that they aren't humans. I don't
Humanoid.
think at all.
Well,
Yeah,
they're human-like, but there's also it is weird because like when Sombra's design came out, I had people swearing to me like up to like when the season started that was like a fan art by some random guy that
that's
put
what
it
it looks
together
like. He
on
looks like a
Honey
fan
Burger.
character.
I know.
Yeah.
It was totally like he just needed wings and he was like a red and
Oh,
black.
God.
Donuts.
Wasn't he basically meant to be Sauron the pony?
Yeah, that's
Except
kind
that
of what
Sauron
this design
is
is.
kind of. It said that you can feel threatened by Sauron and you cannot actually feel threatened by Sombra.
Well, it would have been great if he had a giant tower and he was a glowing eye instead. That would have worked.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
but the thing about Sauron is that it's a threat that has like because it's a war remembered by several like cultures as something that like scarred the, like the very surface of the world. Like actual, like entire species ceased to exist because Sauron decided that he wanted to follow the steps of Mordor. And and Sombra is this guy that he went
He's
away
just there.
with his kingdom, and he returns and no one knows who he is. It's kind of like, wow.
Yeah, it's like he's there. Go stop him. He's evil.
Yeah, it's
slaves.
Yeah, it's kind of like like Steve Holt's just randomly popping out. Steve Holt, and everyone goes like, ooh. It's like, okay, you have something to you, my friend, but it's as threatening as an IKEA lamp.
Well, I'm sure he was threatening 1,000 years ago.
Did you say as threatening as an IKEA lamp?
Yes, dude.
Alright, so rounding this back to Equestria Girls, we had a similar impression. Like when everyone first saw that trailer, we had no information. We just had a kind of rumor circulating, but then we saw the trailer and it was high school drama, and I think a lot of us were turned off by that, especially myself included.
Yeah.
I had to watch like a million freaking analysis videos of the trailer when it came out. Because this was around right when I started writing for Equestria Daily, and I was like, I'm going to run the analysis thing on here, so send me all of your analysis videos, and I'll watch them, and whichever ones I like, I'll post on Equestria Daily. And the trailer comes out, and Sophisto writes like a follow-up on it, right? He wrote about like whatever was in it, and he was like, you don't need to post any videos about this because I've already said all that can really be said. It's a trailer. And nonetheless, I get sent like 20 videos of people analyzing it. Some of them are like 15 to 20-minute videos analyzing just this 1-minute trailer. And so, yeah, like even I was like, why would I write an analysis video on this? It's a trailer. I don't know anything. At best I can speculate some very subtle things about it, but there's nothing to say,
But
I
if
was
you think
just
about
like,
it,
it looks nice.
The trailers are supposed to show a message of some sort. It's supposed to show what the general idea of what we're getting is, and I think it accidentally told us that we thought this thing was going to be a high school drama.
Yeah,
Sort of misrepresented itself.
Exactly.
Well, and first impressions are everything, but I think that what they did right was they released a second trailer and they said, oh, here, there's actually a plot line that isn't like high school drama, and I think that's what ultimately quote unquote saved the film and got tickets sold and theaters packed full of bronies and people
If
like
they got
us.
packed.
Well, the one I went to,
that happened.
The one that I went to when I went, there was 7 people in the theater.
Holy where did you go?
In a town of 50,000 in Canada.
Oh, okay. Well, I went to the only theater in Colorado Springs, which is a town of 500,000 or 300,000 or something, which was showing it, and the theater was entirely packed. So it must have just been because they were the only ones who were showing it or whatever.
It wasn't shown in theaters over here, so I had to fish it out on the internet.
Oh, that sucks.
And that's the unfortunate thing, too, is they probably lost a lot of ticket sales from, not having it have, a worldwide release.
Well, I mean, they weren't trying to have because they knew it wasn't going to be, a big deal, It's a low-budget sort of little movie.
It would have probably cost them more to do a full release than a full DVD release than to do what they're doing, than to do what...
It's kind of amazing that they even did
it
a
on an
small
official
release.
website or something.
Huh?
What about a pay-per-view on an official website or something? That would have worked.
Yeah,
I mean,
that would have been nice.
A good idea.
Although,
well, that's not that different from what they're doing. I mean, they're releasing it on Blu-ray, they're releasing it on TV,
They're
and
just creating a reason for people to go to theaters, which they probably can make more profit off of than a pay-per-view channel.
I mean, the only reason they released it in theaters is because they kind of could. They were like, they obviously weren't going to release it in this big way because not that many people are going to see it. But a lot of movies like this where it's borderline straight to DVD, but they're like, well, this is popular enough that if we release it in some big cities, there's going to be enough, population density.
We're going to make some money.
They'll find out about it. They'll look it up. They'll go to the show once or twice.
Right. I mean, there were plenty of people who drove hours to see it. I was not one of them because I was like, fuck that. I'll wait till it comes out on DVD. But
I just happened to live in a city where they showed it, but there's a lot of places Colorado Springs isn't that big. Denver is bigger in terms of the state, but there's like Seattle didn't have any showings. Right. And
yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised that my little town did get it. We only got it for 4 showings, I think, total.
Same here, yeah.
Very interesting.
I was gonna go see it with my cousins, but that would have been a drive. But that would have been a drive for the sake of seeing it with my cousins.
I see.
And so rounding this back around, we definitely had our first impressions of those trailers, and then we actually saw it. So we didn't get to hear everybody really chime off. What do you guys all think of the final product? Just maybe with or without those first impressions from the trailer?
Final product, I really was impressed by. I mean, considering I didn't go in there with very high expectations, I thought the humor was pretty good. I thought that the animation was well done. I mean, not as well done as maybe some of the better episodes of the show, but part of that is just because of the style, I think. I think the songs aren't really very memorable to me, at least. I mean, some of you might have loved them, but also there was the whole fact that they are in high school, which, like, if we ever get into that, like, later, I'll tell you why exactly I object to that. And it's not why you think. It's not because of, high school drama and I don't watch that. Like I watched Glee for 3 seasons. Like, I literally can watch that. I don't care. I mean, Glee I stopped watching because it just got too much for me to keep track of, and I was just like, screw it. But
By the music.
yeah. Well, yeah, and the fact that, they just had a whatever. That's not the topic of discussion. But yeah, so those are my general impressions of the movie. So I thought it exceeded my expectations, but again, there's room for improvement.
I found it about met my original, what I originally expected after seeing the second trailer. It about met what my expectations were, although it didn't meet what my expectations became after I heard everyone saying, "This movie's fantastic. This movie is great." Because that's what I got all over Facebook in the 2 weeks before I saw the movie. Because I didn't see the movie until July 9th, I believe, is the date I saw it. So I didn't. So and then I'm like, well, it was all right. My problem with the music was that a lot of it sounded very similar to pop songs that are out. I found.
Yes.
There was one or two. I listened to them. I'm like, I heard a different song playing in my head. I'm like, I didn't have this when I'm listening to all the regular music from the show. But something in this movie has me seeing regular pop songs instead of just these songs. And story-wise, they pulled up. I think they pulled off the end quite well, and then we'll leave the rest for discussion.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the end, but we will get to that in a minute.
Let's help Twilight win the crown. That sounded a lot like TikTok by Kesha.
Please don't say that.
Go listen to those 2 songs back to back and tell me I'm wrong.
They're set to a similar beat, but to say that they sound similar just vocally would be
vocally they don't,
sort of a slap in the face, just because Kesha's song is fucking atrocious. So
TikTok on the clock.
I mean, I don't hate the chorus, but the way she
sings is
sings
a little bit of roasted glasses right there.
I win the crown.
Yeah. All right, Feather, Plebeian, and Kori, you guys have
about pop songs here.
Kori, Feather, and Plebeian. I don't think we've heard your take yet.
I went into the film with cautious optimism, I would say.
You were nervous-sighted.
Yes, I was nervous-sighted. That's not a word.
I know.
It is now.
The word is ambivalent.
See, I went into watching the film with the whole Twi'lek thing in mind. You remember the whole uproar about Twilight becoming an alicorn?
I still have more of an issue with that than this movie.
We'll get to that. We will get to that.
Before the season finale of season 3 aired, I was really flaming that. I hated the idea of her becoming an alicorn. Then the season finale came out, and I loved it to death. So when the film came out and I had similar reservations about it looking terrible, I didn't want to instantly hate it before I saw it, because I knew they could always pull something off again, just like they did with Twi'lek. And I was actually pleasantly surprised, because apart from a somewhat lengthy list of nitpicks I've got here, the film was actually really good for me. I loved most aspects of it, which I'm sure we'll talk about later in the show.
Yes, indeedy.
All right. Yeah, I was pretty cautious, obviously, because although the second trailer sort of redeemed it a bit, I was still a bit wary of actually watching it.
Although I might have semi-spoilered you at some point.
Yeah. There were a
Whoops,
couple
sorry about that.
spoilers from my friends. So I watched it to see what the buzz was about. It was okay, I thought. It lived up to at least the show's expectations.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That was definitely a lot better than mine. My particular take, I did not see the second trailer at all. I saw that first one, and just one night I was feeling masochistic. Okay, that's what was happening. I was thinking I was in for a horrible ride, despite one person telling me it was actually not that bad. Then I watch it with the lowest expectations possible, and that got kind of flipped on its head with the opening seconds with what they did with Alicorn Twilight, which is far more acceptable than what they did at the very tail end of Magical Mystery Cure. There's definitely that, and then I was just surprised how little interaction there was with the students, and just less actual drama nonsense. And I don't remember who pointed it out.
Is that? Do you mean in a positive way, or a negative way? There was less interaction.
That's a positive thing, because I did not want to see Twilight screw around with these stupid students for hours.
You say you were surprised by the lack of interaction with the other.
Like, oh my gosh, you need to be so popular.
Yeah, I did not want to see it.
Well, she did become very popular by the end of it, so.
I know, but that was more of a side effect of sorts, and she had an objective for doing that. Like, there was an objective. That was the thing I liked about it. There was a goal, a point, a reason she's doing all this crap.
Right. It's not actually a high school drama. It's actually a story of her trying to, like, she's not, neither her nor Sunset Shimmer is like, oh, I need to be popular. They're like, oh, I need this crown. Popularity is what they have to do to get that crown, you know?
Yeah, it involves high school.
That's what surprised me.
It's the same
way. It
was
was also a story of Twilight ditching every class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't even
Never having a class to be
enroll in school, don't attend class.
None of the teachers realizing there's an unregistered student running around.
Yeah, and that she wins the crown. I mean, no one really caught that.
Well, and there's also the fact that, you know, like, Luna actually, you know, like, stops her, and, you know, like, and she's supposed to be in charge of security or something, and she doesn't realize that Twilight is actually not a student.
Yeah, I thought that was weird with that whole noir scene, but that never got brought up, and just...
Yeah, it's like, my office is pitch black, just like
well,
me.
it's supposed to, yeah, match her.
The thing is, you know, like, Equestria Girls suffer a lot from, you know, like, our, you know, the Brony community's tendency to just blow things out of proportion, and
they're not bronies. This is horrible.
Yeah, and then take things as if they had made it for us rather than for a bunch of little girls. So there's a lot of that as well.
That's the understatement of the decade, sir. Tendency to blow things out of proportion. Like that is the understatement of the decade.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We're all a bunch of rarities.
Hey,
This
watch
is the
those
worst
words.
possible thing.
Sorry about that. I disconnected there for a second.
You're all right, Pissfer. Okay.
It's another thing.
Guys, I think this might be a good time to actually start breaking things down, and I want to start with the most controversial part of the movie, Flash Sentry.
What do
Alright.
people hate
Flash
about it?
Sentry. I don't know why
I like Flash Sentry. I thought it was adorable. Like at the end, I gotta say, like, throughout the movie, I thought it was all right. You know, she just had a guy, and at first I was wondering what's the point of this guy, and then I realized it's because she was gonna have to go to a dance at the end, and it made sense for her to have a date for the dance. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. It's like a trope.
Need to be there.
But at the very end,
why would she have a crush on a human?
I don't know. But at the end, that was the best part about him, is that at the very end, she kind of still has the crush on him as a pony. And I was like, I would love for that to be a thing, just for Twilight to be, like, just have this crush on this guy. I don't even care if it develops any further than that. I just love that at the end there, she's, like, clearly still into him. And they're all making fun of her. There's this amazing face that Cadence makes when she's like, why are you curious? And it's like this amazing expression she has on.
Where was Cadence in the movie? That
She
was
was there.
Question. That's one of the
Cadence,
few things that does
beginning.
bother me. She
Cadence
should have
and
been.
Shining
Look,
Armor were
it's
there.
because Cadence is not real. She's a dream the Celestia conjured up to distract Twilight.
Maybe they're living in Canada. I don't know.
Because they already had the vice principal and principal covered, so they didn't bother.
Right.
I mean,
That
did
was-
they
But you
be
know,
their teacher or
did you
something?
I don't know.
didn't you guys ever read my fanfic? Wonder the Human and Equestria Experiment?
I've
No.
heard of it before. I don't
No.
think I've read it. I need to though.
Because the last chapter is basically, like with Luna and Celestia, like having issues about who's going to be the principal of a human school.
Uh-huh.
So like when I was watching that, I was like, wow. It's almost like I imagined it. Although Celestia was not, like arrested for abusing drugs, but yeah.
What I would have loved would be instead of Celestia and Luna being the principal and vice principal, if instead we would have had a student council and it would have been like Celestia, Luna, and Cadence, and maybe even Shining Armor on the student council.
Would work a little
You
better.
want Shining
And
Armor
Blue
in the
Blood
student
and Blue
council?
Blood's on the council, and he's just like poo-pooing everything they come
Right.
up with.
Oh,
It's
that'd
like,
be
you need
great.
gold-plated water fountain.
Yeah.
It's a wonder what the
Put that in
villains would be
encrusted
this whole
knowledge.
time then. Yeah, it's a wonder what the villains would be doing in this whole parallel nonsense. They'd
Oh,
probably be bullies, yeah.
Discord, he's Osama bin Laden. Chrysalis is Vladimir Putin. Let's see here. Nightmare Moon is I don't know. I've ran out. Who's Nightmare Moon, guys?
Luna at night.
At
Rush
night.
Limbaugh?
That's that guy from North Korea.
Yeah, Kim Jong Un or whoever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
What about Sombra?
Sombra, he's just
Sombra
like
doesn't exist.
yeah.
Sombra's,
Sombra's just like some meth addict living in a trailer park someplace.
Umbra's Gaddafi.
Works for me, I guess.
That would actually be true. Oh, okay.
Steals people's radios and shit.
Problem. Bring this.
Well, it'd
bring
be
it,
crystal
That
meth,
would
wouldn't it?
explain the crystals.
that would explain. Oh God. Okay, bringing this back around to Flash for just a couple more minutes. Nobody else felt that guy was a Gary Stu at all.
Which guy are we
Not
talking about?
really. Not.
Flash
I mean,
Sentry.
No.
okay, so here's why I didn't have a problem with Flash Sentry. I mean, okay, I understand he is an original character for the movie, but so is Sunset Shimmer. No one had a problem with her, and I understand, oh hey, he's like a romantic interest or whatever, but like there's been romantic interests in the show before, like Spike and Rarity, for instance. I mean,
Right.
that was made before the fandom like got into like, and everyone's like, oh no, you can't Twilight have a crush. It's like, you can't expect the characters to never express that. And it's not like it'll stop people from writing shipfics with Twilight and every single other character in the entire show anyway. So I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest complaint is it's going to screw with people's fan fictions, their headcanons.
No, I think this obliterated many
Curses.
human and Equestria fics.
I would actually be surprised if he appears anywhere beyond the movie. To
I was
be
about to
honest.
say, I've actually heard that there's nothing canon about the movie that's going to be shown in the shows. Now that's probably bullshit, considering that the strength. Like, I don't know why they would have ended the film like that if they weren't going to do something with it. And that's
Right,
the
like-
one thing I've got.
Yeah, like because
Yeah.
Megan McCarthy is the one who said that they weren't gonna bring anything over, but she's also prone to kind of lie occasionally. But I don't know. I wouldn't
Well,
be
the thing is,
surprised either way.
I imagine that they would have the character like make guest appearances. Like he would like show up sometime,
Right.
and Twilight would be like, "Oh, hi," but like I doubt that he's not going to be kind of like a constant character.
Right.
Yeah, probably not.
Because he's also serving under Cadence and and Shining Armor.
Yeah, isn't
the
he a
Crystal
guard of the
Kingdom.
Crystal Empire?
Yeah, so he's
I don't
he's
know.
stationed there. So I don't
Well,
think
that's
that
it. He's not
That's never
Crystal, though.
established.
Like
Yeah.
even
none
though
of the
all the
planets
rest of the
are
guards are
crystal.
crystal,
It's a
he's not crystal.
It's literally
sort
a
of
colony.
there.
It is a colony of
That's another
Equestria.
reason I didn't
No,
like
but
Flash
there's
Sentry.
some-
He ruined my headcanon for the Royal Guards.
Well, no. It's like when the European countries colonized Africa. Like most of the people there who were like standing guard were like white or whatever, and then everyone else was black. It's the same thing with the Crystal Empire. It's a colony.
We're bringing politics into this now.
It's not
Yes.
politics. It's true. All of the leaders, none of the leaders are crystal ponies. It's a colony.
Well, in that case, where does Flash Sentry come from? Because he doesn't look like a guard from any of the other sections.
He doesn't look like he's from anywhere.
Maybe he's from Manhattan.
Yeah.
The point of his character looking different is intentional. It's because like it's kind of like a little clue that there's something about him, and then you meet the other guy in the other world, and it returns, and it's him. Like if they had drawn him exactly like all the other like guard ponies with the same attitude or lack thereof, and and also being crystal, like you wouldn't even notice that he existed.
Hmm.
Yeah, that had to be some
So
sort
it's
of,
gotta be visible at
Shadowing
least.
is important because we're also talking about a kids show, so like any kid that watches that and notices him, will naturally be like, oh, it's the guy that was like in the court. It's a little bit of
Yeah,
hint
just have
there.
him stand out a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe he was like Celestia and Luna's like Secret Service detail. Like he follows like them, and that's why he's orange, because like he's like a special type of guard or whatever. I don't know. Just a thought.
If he was like,
Well, then where was he every other time they got attacked?
Exactly.
So you're saying Flash
don't know.
Sentry's kind of like a Celestia version of the
I
Bat
don't
Ponies?
know. It's just an idea.
And kind of goofy and like prone to like not watch where he's walking.
Hmm.
Yes. What kind of guard gets bumped into so often?
I don't know. I don't know how he passed his physical.
I don't know. All right, guys, I wanted to bring this up because I think this is what I was wanting to spark for debate for. This is an opinion I kind of share with AMY Pony, and he brought this up in one of his videos. Flash Sentry is referred to as a relationship stew or romantic stew, Gary Stew type thing. But he's supposed to be... I'm just going to read out this description that he's got here. He's the primary example of a relationship stew. This sort of Mary stew is a tamer than the macho stew and is much more interested in his love interest. In fact, he's more intuitive to the needs of his beloved than most men in real life would ever be. He might be a bad boy or troubled or cute, or this may be just an informed attribute. Either way, he's everything a girl would dream of in a guy. He's often written by female or written to get females interested in the story. Alternative names: lovesick stew, romance stew, love-sickening stew. Now, I share this opinion with him. I'm not sure about the rest of you guys. But I think that's what Flash Sentry is.
He certainly is that. He is definitely.
Yeah.
The question is how
haven't seen
problematic is that? Is really the question, because
Yeah.
a lot of people like to throw around the word Mary Stew as if it's like this huge insult, and I get why, because historically, Mary Stews can be really boring characters, but at the same time, they don't have to be. Like I would say, Cadence
sort of like
is
saying-
definitely a Mary Sue character, but that doesn't mean that she's not interesting in any way.
We'll say, look at
Well,
Twilight.
so is Shining Armor. Like if what's his name? If Flash Sentry fits the bill, so does Shining Armor. Honestly.
Okay, but you're forgetting one thing. Mostly, you can only ascribe the Gary Stu or Mary Sue status to fan creations. Like the moment something is canon, it cannot actually be a Gary Stu because it's intended to be there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
It, it works both ways though, because we're also saying that given something major, given a larger development, you can have Gary Stews in a full development. I can't think of a great example.
But
Like
the
all
thing
I
is-
can think of
the
right now
thing
is Yoda from Star Wars, but he's not really all powerful. But
I think
it's more about saying I have an all powerful character that nothing can beat, no matter what you throw at it. That's more what those are about.
yeah,
I
like
think that's-
Gary Stu, no,
Like Twilight, I would almost call Twilight a Mary Sue.
Me too.
No.
I would almost.
Why? Why?
Yes. Because
What
she
makes
like
Twilight Mary Sue like? I
name
don't-
one thing Twilight can't do. Name one thing.
She can't. She apparently admits that she can't rule things. She doesn't have confidence to do her job that she's been given.
So
Right.
she
See that at the very
can't
start
do
of the movie.
anything without the cast of characters around her. She can't do anything alone.
She
Yeah,
can't quite
exactly.
fly yet.
Yeah.
And another thing is like like Gary Stews and Mary Sue shared this thing that like they're instantly beloved by people. Like they're like
Right.
when something is a Gary Stew, when a character is a Gary Stew or a Mary Stew, it's because they have a whole set of things that make them obnoxious. So you can have characters that have like certain things that Gary Stews have, but not be Gary Stews.
Yeah.
You know,
Well-
I think there's a misconception about people, you know, like automatically saying, you know, like if he has too much power, he's a Gary Stu.
Definitely,
Or, Maris.
I agree with
Or
that.
you know, like if he's too well liked, he's a Marisu. You know, like
Is
there's sometimes it's true, most, you know, like, but sometimes it's just, you know, like it's a character trait.
So I guess
Right.
the big question is, are we saying that Gary Stu is something that should be applied to a character that is bad because they have everything? Or is
Yeah,
Gary Stu
because
something that can be
there's-
applied to any, or is Gary Stu something that can be applied to a character that is very, very powerful, but not necessarily automatically bad? So
Well,
that's the question. Is Gary Stu
hold on,
bad
hold
or
on.
not?
Well,
It depends on whether or not.
Always negative.
Hold on.
Marisu-
I think the main reason I brought this up is not just because he's a Gary Stu or whatever. My main issue is he is a completely irrelevant subplot. The story would have been just fine without him, in my opinion. But since he is included, he apparently. What I'm trying to get across here is I think the story would have been better off without a relationship interest. But since they did bring in one, they brought in a Gary Stu instead of something a little bit more fleshed out.
But that's the thing, he's not a Gary Stu because
It was
he
only-
like he doesn't have a bunch of girls chasing after him.
Yeah.
You know, like he's not like the love interest, say, of, you know, whatever her name is,
He's
Sunset
not the
Dawn.
football. He's not the football
Yeah.
captain.
He's a
Yeah.
little bit clumsy in a way, sort of. I mean, he has a few flaws. I mean, he doesn't have a great
But his
number.
think
of
character
he's-
doesn't
I know,
have
that's-
depth.
He's
His character does not
he's
have
inconsequential,
depth.
man. Like the guy, you know,
70-minute movie.
like
You
you
don't
said,
have that much time to develop depth.
Yeah,
It's
you know,
basically a three-part episode.
More or
He didn't
less.
really have to be there, like you said. You know, like he could have been gone, and the movie would have continued. Like, he's not a Gary Stu because, you know, like
Yeah.
he literally does nothing.
Right.
Either
I
way,
mean,
you know,
yeah,
like, he's not
pretty
bad
irrelevant.
and he's not good. You know, like
The
he's there
purpose
because
of his
he's
character really is just mimetic. It's a sort of a meta, like, is why he's in the movie,
One of
because
the biggest problems is probably the fact that no one else has a partner. It's
Hmm.
just
Right.
Twilight that gets it. It's just Twilight that has a boyfriend.
Yeah.
That's probably part of the problem. Is that the other girls didn't have. Not one of them had another
don't-
boy.
I don't
Oh,
think
can
it's
you
imagine-
a problem.
Can you imagine?
Which pretty much shows a love interest was irrelevant from the beginning.
Well, can
Yeah,
you
and
imagine
I
what
say
would
I love it. Like,
Because
it's
the impact that he had in the
like-
plot was that he saved Twilight, right? He's like, hey, I found the picture. I found the cutout pictures.
Yeah.
That was basically his entire impact. That was his main impact on the story. And that could have been anyone. That could have been Pinkie Pie.
that could have been
Pinkie
Luna.
Pie's good at that stuff.
bad.
Luna could have just pointed out that there was like a, you know, extra layer on there. I mean, if they just cut it out and pasted it.
You know, Photoshop
Physically.
skills are different in humanized Equestria.
Apparently. All right, I think we probably covered a good few bases on Flash Entry. I suppose we kind of got the ups and downs of it. Let's talk about Sunset Shimmer.
Oh, I love Sunset Shimmer.
Thought she was an
It was
okay
one of those
villain.
things. We saw her for so long beforehand because she came out pretty much at the same time. Her toy came out like the same time as the season 3 finale, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
so if you consider the toys
Right.
"quote unquote" canon, she's been a character for some time. But that's only if you consider the toys. Never mind.
Well, I
Yeah.
definitely think she's an interesting villain, but I'm not sure about her whole redemption thing at the very end. I personally thought that was a little out of
Phoned in.
nowhere.
Unrealistic.
I thought that was out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
that's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
I thought.
global out of
I have a
school,
feeling-
friends.
You have to go
Of course,
back
so
to when
was
she was a
Draconic
student of,
zombie
You have to go back
magic.
to when she was a student of Celestia, because I would bet that when she was a student of Celestia, she was being told everything that was displayed in this movie, that friends are important, all that kind of stuff. And she
Yeah,
never
exactly.
believed it. She believed she could win her power. And then
Right,
at the end of
exactly.
the movie, she found out that she could.
Yeah, and her dialogue there is perfect to get you an idea of what she was actually thinking, because what she says after they defeat her is, "I didn't know there was another way." So basically what happens there is that it's not that she's redeemed in a sense of like, oh, she suddenly realizes she was wrong. It's that she's like blown away. It's kind of like Twilight first seeing Celestia
Spark-
raise the
spark-
sun.
Or,
And
yeah.
like when she
Yeah.
you know, decides to like take up magic, it's that sort of like
or
impact
the
where she
spark in
saw
or
that,
the sparks in her
wow,
eyes when her
I
friends yell her
didn't
name.
realize
Less
that,
redemption,
you know-
more revelation.
yeah, it's more of a revelation where she realizes like, holy shit, I didn't know that you could have this kind of, because all she wants is power, and she wants to be the most powerful magician, and she thought that this thing she was doing was going to do that, and then it turns out, oh wait, it's way more powerful to have friends. And she's like, I had no idea that this would be way stronger than what I thought was a good idea. You know, you can kind of envision her telling Celestia, hey, I just found out that if I take a element of harmony into this mirror, I'm going to become like super powerful. And Celestia going, hey, that's a bad idea. You should go make friends. That's how you can really become powerful. And her going, fuck you, and running off into the portal, you know. And of course, now she learns the truth and it's like, okay, now I want to make friends because now I realize that that's like real power, you know.
Yeah.
All right, okay. I think you probably blew my bit out of the way, but I do have to bring up just one tiny little flaw in her plan. Why did she have to go all the way to the human world to get her slaves and power and stuff if she could have just stolen the crown and used it there in the Ponyverse?
Because in the Ponyverse, it doesn't have. It's established.
I'm feeling removing it from Equestria was part of the plan.
Well, what would make it work in the human world then?
Here's the thing, But
well,
you have to
because
remember
humans are vulnerable to it, but not ponies are vulnerable to it. So she would bring this. So she would bring her slaves over, quote unquote slaves. She'd bring her minions over, and then they would be, I guess, ponified. I don't know how that would work, but they'd be in Equestria, and then they would like still follow her, presumably. I don't know.
Gargoyles.
But what are a bunch of teenage ponies going to do against the Royal Guard?
Yeah, really what went on is that
like
once
especially since they're zombified.
I guess the dragon sort of
organize shit on Twitter, do flash mobs. There's a lot that
the dragon minions could do something, but not just.
Well, maybe they'd all be turned into dragon minions. Maybe that was part of the plan.
Yeah, you have to question her intelligence, though. Like overall, I mean, like her minions were Snips and Snails.
Right.
Yeah.
Great choice.
I mean,
so well
like for Celestia's, like prize pupil, it's kind of like.
Well, too bad there was no interaction between Trixie and Snips and Snails in the movie. I don't think there was there?
No, there
wasn't.
No, there wasn't.
There was.
It's kind of. I thought it was implied that she sort of stole Trixie's minions.
Maybe it was.
Because Trixie, I always thought that Trixie was the one that had like run for. You know how she's looking at the trophies and stuff. When we have that glimpse of her, I thought that she was the one that was running for president before Twilight.
Maybe
she's very good.
Again,
they present her very well at being very grand and then doing nothing in the movie. That's for sure. Great and powerful Trixie will get a snack.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
All right. Any other comments on Sunset Shimmer? Before we move on to the next one.
I think
why
she
did
was a good
Twilight
representation.
both have the same names?
Plebeian, what was that?
I thought she was a great representation of like sort of what Twilight might have done if she hadn't found her friends.
Right.
Very good point. And Feather Scratch, what were you going to say?
Like a foil.
I was just saying, why did Celestia's students both have the same names? Think about it. Twilight Sparkle and Sunset Shimmer is the same name, just said differently.
Well, what you don't know is that they were actually clones. They're like Ray Ayanami, man. They're like
another sort of
hey, if you want to name people, or if you want to name ponies like whimsical things, there's only so many things you can do. It's not like you can just throw letters together like, oh, hey Matthew, hey Steven, hey Plebeian. You have to like.
And the main reason is probably also because of the fact that Twilight's always been seen as a magical time, right? Twilight in most fantasy settings, Twilight is one of the most ambiguous and generally powerful times for magic. Hence the names for both of them being Twilight-ish.
Sure.
Anything else on Sunset Shimmer?
I thought she was perfectly devious and a total bitch, and I love that.
Yeah. I agree.
Fair enough.
All right. So let's move on to the next one. On my list, I have songs. Let's talk about the songs. Anyone else just feel like the only standout was the cafeteria song?
How did that go? As I said, the other ones all.
The other ones
Although
just
the intro was pretty good. That remixed intro song was pretty impressive.
The score was excellent. The songs were just okay.
Oh yeah, the songs. Yeah, the score was pretty good. I didn't like the songs. Like none of them are really memorable to me, personally.
Wanderer D, you need to go?
Yeah, sadly, it is a time.
All right, well, thanks for popping in, D.
I mean, it was cool to hang out and listen to so many opinions. about
It's always,
Equestria Girls.
always fun to have you come hang out. You should hang out on our show some more, man. You should do it.
Well, you should
Totally.
invite me more often, man. You
Glad
never,
to see you.
you
I
never
will.
do.
Just get your butt on more often, and I'll do that.
I'm on all the time.
Well, whatever.
It's
Get
kind of
out of
sad,
here.
really.
Whatever.
You
Get
think
outta here.
about it, it's a really sad thing. Anyway, well, guys, it was nice talking to you, meeting you all, and enjoy the rest of the show.
All right,
Thanks
see you,
for
Dave.
coming.
Bye.
Back
Bye.
to the songs. So yeah, I thought the cafeteria one was catchy, although it the whole thing felt like a high school drama musical thingy-majig, like something you'd see straight out of those. With all
Yeah, in a way. Though then again, I mean, I guess you can't say every song that appears in a high school is High School Musical. Like that wouldn't be fair to.
Not
I don't
quite,
know.
but they have like a certain flavor to them, like
Sort of like sound like a pep
All
rally or
being
whatever.
pop music.
Well, it was Flash Mob, so you know.
At Apologetic
all it was. It was
Pony,
just a
I'm
Flash
looking
Mob
at
in
the
a high
chat.
school cafeteria.
But yeah, I thought that was the only real standout. The rest of them were, I don't know, cheesy, unmemorable. But that's just my take. What do you guys think?
Agreed.
I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheesy but memorable.
yeah, that's fair.
I
enough.
said-
Oh, and
Memorable.
And one
the
thing I'm going
best
to throw in
wording,
the
I
same
think.
at this point, I'm very sad that they did not use the dubbed Equestria Girls some point, most likely in the end
Right.
credits, but some point in the,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about, right? The commercial
Yeah.
song?
Equestria girls, a pony fabulous, boots on hooves, bikinis
Now,
on
maybe it's a
top.
licensing issue, but I was disappointed that it wasn't in the credits.
Yeah, or they could have done like, I don't know, another popular song if they considered that to be too old from all the way
Yeah,
back.
Probably would have had a heart attack of
The
pure
ancient
cheesiness if they
times.
did that.
Okay, I think we seem to have gotten enough out of the songs. How about we talk about the plot a little bit, and maybe the redemption finale if we want to dive into that some more.
So plot, here's one thing, and I said earlier that I'd talk about, oh, you know, I don't like the fact that they're in high school. It has nothing to do with, oh, you know, High School Musical or whatever. It has nothing to do with that. Here's what it has to do with. Okay, so it's supposed to be an alternate universe where everything's like a counterpart, you know, sort of like doppelgangers or whatever. All right,
Yeah.
if that's the case, like Celestia and Luna should be like the president of the United States, and Twilight still shouldn't be in high school. She should be like a graduate student, or she should be like, I don't know, the Speaker of the House or something. I mean, like to go from such a grand thing like, oh, princess of this entire whimsical land to, oh, principal of a high school. I
Well,
mean, to
that's
go
the
from
thing.
that to that doesn't
Like,
translate. to
The
me.
thing about the movie is that I don't like to think that it actually takes place in anything resembling Earth. I think it takes place in just a high school. Like, that is the universe. It's not even like a whole expansive place that's just like America or whatever. It's just a high school.
Yeah, that
Like-
whole word
Okay, but that's
revolves
Well,
around
now
one
that you
thing.
mention it, Twilight
really
was
large
like
high
really
school.
nervous about wearing the crown, so I think learning to lead in that small sense helped her with that conflict.
It's sort of
That's
like
the problem, though. It's like dumbing down. You know, it's like your dad's the CEO of Pfizer, and you go on to manage a local McDonald's. Like that's what it felt.
Guys, I got it. I got it. This is all Discord.
a wizard.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Discord did something to the mirror that caused the parallel world that was in relation to all that. That's why she needed. So it was just. It was that was actually. See, Discord's all through. Discord caused Twilight to become an alicorn because he's Discord. He can give wings and horns just as he can take them away, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then because Celestia was saying, oh, she's having problem leading, we'll send her off to another world and we'll teach her how to lead.
Sander
It's all
and the lyre
Discord.
of heartstrings and imagination.
He couldn't wreak havoc in Equestria anymore, so he just chose another dimension.
How does Sunset Shimmer fit into that, though?
Or created one.
Puppet.
Maybe Sunset Shimmer is actually not a rogue, evil person. I don't know.
Huh.
She's some sort of self-conscious image or something of Twilight.
Or she's an apparition by Discord.
Something like that.
Could be.
That's similar to Twilight.
She's Mirror Twilight.
That's why she has the same name as Twilight. because she's actually some form of the conscience of Twilight Sparkle.
Discorded version.
I just think that Twilight like took way too much LSD, and that was the movie. And she's just gonna wake up and be like, "Oh man, what was that? That was a bad trip."
Anyways.
That's why it's not canon.
Okay, so actual plot?
The actual plot.
A lot of holes in that.
Yeah, like why didn't she just ask for the crown and get on with her day?
I was disappointed it was only 70 minutes long, actually. I thought when they were going to release the film, I thought it was going to be feature length.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my general thinking.
Yeah, the ending felt really rushed to me. It felt like a whole Deus Ex Machina thing.
It didn't feel too rushed, but it like sure they
It
skipped
felt
over
like it
stuff, but you skip
escalated
over
really
stuff in anything that
strangely.
takes days. It actually the only part that really felt rushed was the fact that was how they did the ball. Oh, you guys cleaned up the gym? Let's have the ball tonight.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
You think that was rushed? I'd hate to think what. Like, if you thought that was rushed, then the LA Noir scene they had with Luna confronting Twilight was like the speed of sound, essentially.
Yeah. Look, here's some pictures that are cut out that technically have no way to bind to that exact picture that you have right there. It's just a cutout of the picture.
The cavalry.
I did love that. Here's a picture with the picture cut out. Okay, you're free to go.
That was easy.
Okay, sure.
Well, then again, how easy she got into trouble to begin with.
Yeah. There's
But
a
yeah,
random picture.
Yeah, the biggest plot hole I'd say is like, okay, why didn't she ask for the crown back, or just like sneak in and steal it or something, and then just go back? She'd be like, "See ya."
Exactly. Why didn't she just take it? What was the whole convoluted plot for?
Also, why did she even have the crown with her to begin with? Like, I mean, I know she's a princess and everything, but like, they don't do a good job securing the crown or the elements of harmony in general. I mean, think about when in Magical Mystery Cure, it was in a thin glass case on the main floor of a public library with no lock.
But with one of the most powerful magical beings in Equestria, with the support of two of the other 3 or 4 of the most powerful magical beings in Equestria, so maybe that case isn't just a simple glass case.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, there could have been a laser defense grid, and we could have made this, like heist or something. Yeah, that would have been great. Turn the whole movie into Ocean's 11.
There's something about that, though. If the crown was so important, why didn't you just enchant it so no one could take it? I mean, they already did that with the elements in Discord, didn't they?
And that didn't work.
Yeah. They enchanted them so he couldn't take them.
Well, maybe that only works when you have a specific target in mind.
When they were taming Discord, he meant.
Yeah.
You can enchant it against something, but you can't enchant it against everything, type of thing.
Yeah.
Unless you put like a force field around it, like Shining Armor did with Canterlot.
But that apparently
absorbed. But I have to ask another question. Why would you put her element of harmony in her crown?
Well,
that's just one of the minor plot holes.
I think the element is her crown. I think they just sort of they didn't even bother making a crown. Is it any different than the original element?
It's very different.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
It is? Okay.
Not really.
It's a very different crown. Yes.
It is very different. That was one of my things when I first saw the first trailer. I didn't think that was the element of harmony. I thought it was just a generic crown that was stolen. So why would she go to all the trouble to go back and get it?
No, it was supposed to be the element of harmony. I mean,
yeah, but at the time, it didn't look like the element of harmony.
No, it didn't. It actually looked smaller than the element of harmony. It's a lot smaller.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a lot cleaner.
I guess so.
And it just begs the question, why wasn't that, locked away with the rest of the elements, and why was that embedded into her crown? And I guess why would she carry it with her like luggage?
Because she needed it for the princess conference?
Because we needed it for the plot.
The princess conference that didn't quite happen.
Yeah, and what did they talk about anyway?
4 of them coming together.
Yeah. What were they going to talk about? That's a very good question. What were they there originally?
Who knows? Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we'll find out in a fake 2-part episode that has one feature of Spike and one feature of the main 6 next season.
Yeah. Here's what we were talking about.
They gathered together to figure out what to do with the mirror.
It just happened to activate that instance.
They were going to choose right then to tell Twilight about Sunset Shimmer. Hey, you
Okay,
know
guys,
there's somebody
how do we
before you.
How do we
They
get
hadn't had to
Twilight
deal
and
with
Human
Sunset
World
Shimmer in
next
2.5
to
years, because it took 2.5 years for it to activate again. Assuming there's a moon once a month and there's 12 months in their year.
That was always something I was kind of confused about. What exactly constitutes a moon? I mean,
basically be a day.
In our culture, that would generally mean a full moon, and probably for them would probably include a couple days around it, but or maybe it stays open for a full phase of a moon. So maybe it opened and they knew it was open, and now it's just happened to be the last 4 days.
maybe.
I just thought of something else. Just another fun little plot hole. Celestia seems to think it's a good idea to not go in the mirror herself at all, and she thinks anybody else going in there would upset the balance of things. But somehow Twilight's allowed to go through and upset the balance of things, and Pinkie Pie
She's
does
the only
mention-
one without a doppelganger.
No, she has a doppelganger because
I was supposed to say, didn't they refer to her sort of? Didn't they say, "Oh, aren't you that person that we saw here with the dog?"
Yeah.
So it's like she has
her
to, they have-
doppelganger
she has
lives
a
in the
twin
city.
sister with the same dog.
But
And
she's doppelganger Twilight hasn't met her what's the word, destined friends yet.
Yeah.
She hasn't transferred.
Well, and
to
that was one of the
script or
things that
whatever.
made me think like the universe was more than just that high school, because they mentioned, oh yeah, she lives in the city or whatever. I'm like, okay, so there's an entire world outside of just this high school.
They didn't give you the impression that there was, but okay.
Well, and they go into like town. They go.
I
into
didn't see
the
that.
town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
see, like,
I feel like when they
Mrs.
do the
State.
dresses, they're at Rarity's house or Rarity's parents' work, or I don't even know what exactly it would have been.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, fair point.
When they go to the Cakes Bakery or the equivalent of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's what all we could say really about the plot.
It escalated a lot at the ending. I don't really know how Element of Harmony gets you draconic zombie magic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was just sort of thrown in just for the sake of it.
Because why not?
Yeah,
You know what that showed though? The physical elements of harmony aren't actually important as
Yeah, you
long
don't-
as
you
the
don't need
individuals
elements.
representing them are there.
well, they are important because it did give her power, but at the same time,
Yeah.
they are not all that you need.
Yeah, but if the film's
Well,
to be believed, then only one of the elements needs to be present at the time.
Well, maybe that's why
Physically?
they won. Maybe because they had 6 spirits versus one physical element. Maybe that's why they were able to defeat
I
it.
don't know, guys, but I think it's safe to say that the My
They
Little
didn't-
Pony universe does not like to stick to its own rules. It changes them all the time.
No, it doesn't. You're right. I mean, I think that is probably
Like the fact that
I mean,
Granny Smith is hundreds of years old.
and she must be, because Ponyville was founded, quote, hundreds of years ago. But then
Winter
again, we
Wrap
don't
Up.
know
It was
how
Winter
long-
Wrap Up that quoted that, right?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Then
Yeah.
again, we don't know how long that is, and she really could be that old. It could
Yeah.
be like maybe that's like the Earth Pony's special power is like living for a long ass time. I don't know.
Old as dirt.
Speaking of ages,
Well, yeah, old as dirt. I like that.
All right, well, hey, guys, for the sake of time, I think we should move on to the next topic. Next thing I think I want to bring up is the art style, or the character models.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just take on them.
I like
they
it
are
better than the
humans.
original.
I didn't have an issue with it. I have people complaining that everyone's wearing ski boots, and I'm like, you know what? I really don't care they're wearing ski boots. It's easy. It's probably easier for them to animate that.
I thought it was
Okay.
sort of like a reference to hooves, like the big
Yeah, that too.
bulky boots.
I listened to the Wonder Colt song again, and I heard the Stomp Your Hooves, and I'm like, I wonder.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought the artwork, it was kind of like different, I guess. I mean, I don't know if like it had poorer quality or if it was just different. I just kind of felt like the animation in like some of the better animated episodes was like almost kind of better than what you'd see in the movie, which is the opposite of what you'd expect. You'd expect the movie to have the best animation of all.
yeah.
Like,
I thought it was
But-
all right.
I thought
And
the
once I
animation
had
was
gotten,
good.
I
once
just
I had
didn't like
gotten
the
like,
humanized versions of them.
well, the animation when they were still in the Crystal Empire and Ponies, the animation then was great.
Well, no.
Yeah.
You got to think about one thing. Basically, pretend Equestria Girls is episode 1 of the show. And obviously episode 1 of the show, the animation was a work in progress. That was because they were testing all of their
yeah, I was just thinking that
something
stuff.
new.
Yeah.
The models are all new. So instead of having a whole bunch of models that are already, they have all the actions in the world already rendered for, now they've got all new models that they now have to reanimate. Because I'm sure they've got pre-written tweens for all sorts of movements for all the main 6.
And an easy way to tell, look at the Pony World animations versus the Equestria or the Human World one. You'll see a very stark difference in the animation types.
Yeah, and like after I had gotten used to like the new animation, and then they had that mirror thing with Twilight, I like took a double take. Because I'm like, whoa, that's freaky, bro.
It
On the
was
way
actually
back, you
kinda
mean?
Spike would say.
Digibrony, you've been a little quiet over there. Do you have anything to add? Digibrony, are you alive?
Yes, he's AFK.
Yep, guess he's dead. You guys like the character models at all? Because I think there could have been a better way to do them.
Now we're talking about
personally.
the model itself versus the colorings, right? Speaking of that, because that was one of the biggest issues I had. Does anyone actually have an issue with the skin color now that we've seen the movie?
Not necessarily human. That's my explanation.
Yeah.
The fandom has showed that you can have them all have white skin, but you can still tell who the character is. You don't need to make them purple and pink and orange.
I think the one thing that someone pointed out, which was very accurate though, is it helps you identify the background ponies. Yes, the main 6 would be easy to tell, because they all have very distinctive styles to them. But that way it's easier.
Vinyl's skin isn't white, like pure white.
Well,
Her skin is white, isn't it?
No, her skin's normal.
Yellow.
Yeah, Vinyl Scratch looks normal.
Okay, I'm curious now. I'm going to type this into Google Image. Vinyl Scratch EQ Equestria Girls.
Yeah, but it's the main characters, Flash Sentry, and
you're right.
a lot of the background characters in Equestria Girls that are multicolored. Vinyl Scratch is not.
Yeah,
Vinyl Scratch is the only real human in that world.
Don't forget about Big Mac.
Don't forget
Big Mac's
Big Mac.
fairly normally colored as well.
And what's weird is Derpy is gray. Like, if you find Derpy in Equestria Girls, she's actually gray.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah, that sounds unhealthy.
So their color is inconsistent.
But yeah, like Big Macintosh, I mean, you can identify him because he has like on a red jacket or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I thought Big Macintosh.
If it came to the coloration, you could have just stuck with the clothes. You didn't have to make their skins.
But see, I think part of the reason they did that is now they don't have to exclude, and they didn't have to work on including or excluding human races into the equation.
That's true, exactly.
But they made both the OCs white.
Oh yeah.
Because then they didn't have to worry about having a mix, or they didn't have to worry about the repercussions of not having a mix.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's honestly the reason I think they did it. Though then again, I mean, I don't know. The show's dealt with race before and racism before. I think if they had made everyone actually have human-type skin colors, I mean, if it needed to be addressed, then it could have been addressed, and they could have done it. But I don't know. I digress.
Fair point. And then I guess that's the coloring. And you guys agree, disagree with the models? Like the actual models themselves, not the coloring?
I didn't like the models at all. Especially,
they all looked a little bit like
Luna and Celestia.
I'm not a big art guy, so I don't have much to say on it.
I don't know.
Luna and
Luna was like
Celestia
the
were
only one.
underwhelming.
Yeah, Luna and
was like-
Celestia were pretty bad. Neither one of them looked pretty.
Yeah.
Like,
Luna was the only one who had like some skin on them bones. Like like seriously, Luna actually has like some like girth.
She's a
Like she looks
little
like a real
bigger.
person instead of a twig. Like when
Yeah, they all
I
look
saw her, I was like, oh my gosh, someone who actually has mass and isn't a twig.
Hey, let's teach people to be anorexic.
So I think we're implying that Luna is lazy?
Or likes cake.
Yeah.
Why isn't
with everyone
Celestia
else, the
huge?
weight was right to their ankles.
I hope, by the way, when you edit this podcast, put a picture of Luna from Equestria Girls in there, like just so viewers can see.
Maybe we'll have Hengard start putting videos and pictures throughout these editings, but that'll come in time. So, yeah, and I like how not a lot of the characters just weren't consistent. With the main 6, you could almost very easily tell that was them, even if they weren't colored and it wasn't said it was them. But then you have cases definitely like Luna and Celestia, and then Granny Smith and Big Macintosh, I guess, are other good examples of near unrecognizable characters.
Granny Smith had some meat on her bones.
Yeah, she did. She was actually, that was odd, considering that none of the other characters, or hardly any of the other ones did. Like, well, then again, almost all in the show, they all have like pretty much the exact same body type as well. So I mean, I guess I can't complain too much.
All except for Snips and Snails. Well, Snails? No, Snips, I mean. Snips is that one.
And then the princesses, obviously. And then Fleur de Lis. And then...
Fleur de Lis was in there? I never noticed her.
I'm saying that would have been interesting if, like, on the street, like, we just saw, like, some of the Cancelot elite walking around, but I guess not. But
I don't think it would have been a good idea to have Fleur on the street, considering her kind of character.
But they had photo finish.
In the passing limo is what we're saying.
It's like a cameo.
But they had photo finish because that was perfectly okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I think I'm down to 2 last topics here. So, second to last one I have here is setting. I think we have some things we could talk about with the setting.
I've already mentioned why I don't.
I think we've already pretty much killed the setting.
Have we?
I have. I don't have anything else to say on it.
The whole world exists in a high school.
It's like one city.
It's basically Pleasantville ponies.
Pleasantville with ponies. There we go. That is now Equestria Girls.
World is run through a high school.
Oh, God,
that's intimidating.
Oh goodness.
That would be intimidating.
I think they should have done like a Back to the Future plot, like have Twilight like have to like make her parents get back together, and I don't.
That would have been weird.
Like you don't think there could have been something more that could have been done with the setting apart from what we've been given?
Maybe have them go around town for some, just to give us an idea of what we're looking at instead of just a random high school.
Yeah, and I think I've seen a Twilight in class just like answering every question perfectly, and then her teacher's just like, "Who the hell are you?" You girl.
Or trying to explain like science through magic. That would have been funny.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a lot more interesting if there actually was a humanized version of Twilight there, and she just had to keep avoiding that Twilight.
That would have made for an interesting plot line.
That's actually what I thought happened. That was actually my first thought when the gym got trashed. I thought that was what had happened. I thought Sunset Shimmer had found the other Twilight and convinced her to wreck the gym.
But nope, they convinced you that there's no Photoshop in this universe. There's YouTube and Twitter and texting, but there's no Photoshop.
No, there is Photoshop. It's just the Photoshop skills are like magnified by 100 because all you do is tape it on and then it looks like Photoshop.
Well, because in a cartoon world, it's not like in real life where it's hard to do.
Yeah. But I do have one thing that's been bothering me about this movie since I saw it the first time, and that's how all the main 6 kind of hated each other because of what Sunset Shimmer did. But she hacked into email accounts and stole cell phone numbers, and she's only been in this world for 3 years, and she knew nothing about computers. So.
But we also see that Snips and Snails were helping her.
Yeah, Snips and Snails were helping her, and it wouldn't take that long to learn.
Do as the Romans do.
Helping, quote unquote.
Yeah, I'm convinced that if you brought a
I
caveman
that
back,
part.
you could show him in like 5 hours how to use a computer, and he'd be browsing Reddit. Well, he'd need to learn how to read, but if he knew how to read, he'd be like on there browsing Reddit in a matter of hours. I'm convinced. Like we think nowadays that we're so smart because we have all this technology, but no, we're just as smart. People back then were just as smart as we are now. We're just building upon the knowledge of the generations.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm getting just condemn it for dark magic, one or the other.
Yeah, who knows?
Okay, so I definitely think that's setting out. This is the big one. And obviously this is kind of the big one just in general. What is this going to mean for season 4? What do you guys think?
I don't think
Personally,
I don't see it having much of
I
an
will
impact
say-
on the season overall.
the only thing that it
Twilight
could really
seemed
affect is
readier
the
to
boyfriend
rule.
thing. The only thing that as far as I'm concerned, the only thing it really brings is the potential of Flash Sentry being a larger character in the show. And that relies on if they were truthful when they said that this movie is not. I'm not even sure how they said it. Full canon
then
with the
again,
show. I'm gonna
it's
say.
not
It's
canon.
possible to have it not be canon, but have the characters be canon and have the characters be brought back. So,
Yeah.
like, for instance, they could bring back Sunset Shimmer as an antagonist again, since it never happened, and she's just like a pony. Like, but she's an antagonist because I guess she never learned her lesson because it's not canon. Like, they could
But-
do that.
But let me just pose the question: what if Equestria Girls might become canon? Because obviously we saw Twilight go through a bit of an arc in there,
it
and this
doesn't
is something that
affect
could
anything
transition
more
into
than-
season 4.
Twilight's still a princess. That's based. Most of what Equestria Girls does is not anything more than what the finale did, because most of this season should be something about Twilight's a princess now. This episode, all that the movie did was exactly that. It's like, I know how to I can lead now. I have the confidence to lead now. So all it did was have a longer episode doing one of the things that they would have done in the season anyways. As far as I'm concerned. Like that's why I say Flash Sentry is what the most important thing that happened if they continue them on.
Well,
Okay.
here's the thing: I'm not sure that's entirely true because the Equestria Girls message, at least a lot of it, was the thing with friendship again. That was kind of the core theme of it. I don't think it had a lot to do with leadership because honestly, Twilight didn't do a lot of that. She just kind of followed suit with everyone else came up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they had that message at the end. A true leader doesn't make people bow before them. They inspire people to stand with them. That was the whole. That was the
Yeah,
whole.
that was
message of
another
it.
of the.
But they basically carried her throughout that whole movie.
Yeah, but so basically what I'm saying is okay, so I'm gonna turn this question back around to you. What do you expect? What would you expect to see this have effect on season 4?
I want to see Flash Sentry be the one to teach Twilight how to fly.
He doesn't have wings.
Yes,
I
he's
thought
a,
Yeah,
Flash
he's a
is
Pegasus.
Flash is
Yeah,
a
I'm pretty sure he
Pegasus.
does.
That's why I put that connection. I thought that would have been a really good episode.
I thought he was a unicorn.
Nope,
No,
Pegasus.
no,
Pegasus.
He's
Huh.
the only of the Royal Guard who is a Pegasus.
There's
Oh, yeah.
plenty of Royal Guard Pegasi.
Yeah, there are.
There's
Not-
no
not in the
Earth
Crystal
Pony.
Empire.
That's something we've never seen before. All
I gotta-
like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they don't really have fighting skills. I have no idea.
What,
but
Earth Ponies? Or
Yeah,
what was
I-
that?
they're not guards. Like none of them are made royal guards. Like you see a bunch of like white Pegasi like decked out and like the stuff, and then you see a bunch of like sort of like grayish like unicorns, whatever. But I don't think we've ever seen an Earth Pony guard.
yes,
I
yes,
mean,
we have. Yes,
when?
we have. In the Crystal Empire episode, the pony who came and told Celestia that it was back was an Earth pony.
Was he?
Yep.
So season 3, episode 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh.
What about
Well,
the What about the ones at the beginning of the Philomena episode that Rainbow Dash was trying to?
Those were
I was thinking
Pegasus.
some of those, at least some of those are,
Were they
are
Pegasus?
Pegasi, but I can't remember.
Yeah, they stopped Fluttershy from getting in with their wings.
Oh yeah, wings. Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Wings and spears.
Interesting.
I
But
w- I would assume that they're just unicorns and Pegasi are more diverse, so they're more common because they have more diverse. So it's not that Earth ponies are excluded, but they have to work harder to be.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Pissfer, to answer your question, you kind of rounded back on me. I think, so what I was worried about, or at least what I was immediately going off on with Magical Mystery Cure at the end of season 3, I figured, Twilight is insta princess. She already knows how to fly, so she might as well be insta ruler. That's what I was dreading the whole time. Then Equestria Girls comes along and says she's trying
She
to
doesn't
adapt
know how
into
to
the
fly.
role. She doesn't know how to fly. She doesn't know how to adapt into the role. And
Can't
I think,
control her wings.
and
Well,
personally,
and this is where I'm saying this.
hold on,
so
hold on,
this
hold on,
is you-
hold on.
This is you inferring a whole bunch of stuff from her flying.
Well,
Is
it's
it
not
not
just that. It's not just that. It's that she just dives into the role almost immediately, or she just accepts it without any argument, debate, or Not really very many questions either.
See, but that's the thing. It's just showing you what the premiere would have shown you anyways. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Is all that does is give us more information earlier. It doesn't. What happened in the movie doesn't really have any effect on season 4. However, the things that happen in the movie are most likely going to be reiterated in season 4.
Well, I can imagine that, but I'd like to think Equestria Girls is a stepping stone for season 4 in terms of Twilight's character moving into the new role.
You know, one
Well, yeah,
thing
it is.
I would like
As I
to
said,
see
Well, then
carried
the
over from the
question would
film.
be, what did she learn?
And that's why I'm saying it didn't do anything except for reveal sooner what we would have found out in season 4. I don't think it really advanced season 4, but they don't get to skip over something because they showed it in the movie.
No, they don't.
Except for Flash Sentry, if they bring Flash Sentry in. They don't really get to skip over anything else.
And the mirror.
Yeah, if they are
And
going
the mirror, but I don't think they're going to bring the mirror in because the mirror's not going to be useful for another 2.5 years.
No, I kind of had the idea that, you know, have any of you seen the BronyCon storyboards for season 4?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
Well, there was a wee snippet in there where basically they're all superheroes, right?
Yeah, I saw that. The power ponies.
Yeah. Well, I had the idea that maybe the mirror doesn't just go to the Equestria Girls world, it can go to several parallel worlds.
I saw that, and I'm like, what's this doing as an episode?
Because Spike looked like he really didn't belong in that superhero world, so maybe he went there by mistake.
Or it's just Spike dreaming.
Yeah,
that was
I don't
one
know.
too.
I think that incorporating the mirror again in that would be interesting. Like, it'd prevent the, like, oh, it's all just a dream plot.
Yeah, it would be a way of expanding the world without actually really infringing on the current setup.
Yeah. And allows them to sell more toys. Woohoo!
Of
Yeah.
course.
Toys.
They could sell,
All
like,
right.
action
So,
figures.
you guys don't think Equestria Girls is going to have a very big bearing on season 4? Safe
Not
to say.
too great, no.
There's not much there to have a bearing on. It's sort of like take almost any episode, take any non-season premiere, season finale episode, and tell me how much bearing it has on the rest of the episodes, just by itself.
Lesson 0
Yeah.
which is everyone started writing the friendship reports.
Yeah, but okay. So there's one more. But
There's
there's
the
not that many
Ticketmaster
episodes that
episodes.
on their own have a massive effect on.
Generally, the episodes are slice of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Well,
the
and
And
Zipporah
even then,
episode.
even the Discord episode. What did the Discord episode have to do with anything other than the fact they got to bring Discord back again?
They get
What
to
did any of the
keep
episodes really have to do with have any effect? They show
Well, the
growth.
episode
Each
where
one
they
shows
first-
growth, but it's not really. The series is not really sequential in any way whatsoever.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
think it
it's
is
just
to
a
some
bit more
degree.
development.
Like the episode where they brought in like Zipporah, like obviously has to be watched before any of the episodes in which she appears in after that,
Yeah.
because it it references back.
Well, yeah.
to it.
And then the
there's
Ticketmaster episodes.
little.
Yeah,
I was about to say,
Yeah.
like that. Isn't it sort of sad that that's still the longest single storyline we've got so far? Is 3 episodes in season 1.
And I'm
Kinda.
not sure, but and then
The
there's
longest specific
somewhat season
storyline.
3 and
There's
some subtles.
there's more episodes than that you can tie together in a line, but the only ones that are directly related, the longest directly related episode chain we have so far is Ticketmaster, Art of the Dress, Best Night Ever.
Well, you could say almost anything doing with the elements of harmony and the princess is leading up to Twilight becoming an alicorn.
That's true.
You can
Yeah.
say
Because
that.
all of it is referenced again in like the flashback or whatever.
Yes.
Or you
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
say that the whole like Crystal Empire story arc, like that has a story arc. I mean, okay, so Cadence and Shining Armor get married, then this empire appears, then they go and rule it for whatever reason, even though they don't live there. And
Yeah,
then
but
they have to host the Equestria Games,
This
and
is
then there's
what-
this mirror. So I mean, the
the
Crystal
difference
Empire
I'm making
are
here
all a story arc.
is you can create you can draw lines to say, okay, this is connected to this episode because this wouldn't have happened if this didn't happen first. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the episodes don't make sense. Like the episodes, I'm saying these 3 episodes would make sense specifically because you watch them in order. You could watch you could sort of watch the Crystal Empire episode without any knowledge of the royal wedding, and it would still be a really good episode.
Well, you could still watch Art of the
well,
Dress and
Yeah,
just
I was just thinking that. I'm like, that doesn't really work. But anyways, But yeah, they don't. There's no real connection between the royal wedding and that, other than the fact that it's Shining Armor and Cadence that are in the Crystal Empire.
Yeah. It's more of a link than it is a continuity.
It's sort of like, and then you could say the Crystal Empire leads into Magical Mystery Cure because at the end of the season premiere they show the book, Luna pulls in Star Swirl's book.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, that's just one bit of information that's shared. I actually really hate that book because I thought they would do something with it, and they didn't.
They didn't.
Yeah, it was kind of a
they didn't. I thought the book was going to be like, oh, here's all a bunch of magic Twilight has to learn, but no,
They'll
it's
do
just a
that
spell
in season 4.
to switch around
Maybe.
marks.
But I was sort of disappointed that it's like, oh, there's a book, and oh, look, now she's an Alicorn because of the book.
Yeah, that kind of
All right.
sucked.
There goes Digi.
Yep. Okay, so fair consensus. Nobody thinks that there's any bearing of Equestria Girls to season 4, and I'd like to think there is, but we won't know until season 4 comes around.
It
It's
makes
a
sense.
little mirror thing, but other than that, no.
We might see a few like shout outs to it. Just Twilight be like, oh yeah, this is like that time I went into the mirror portal, but I doubt like we're gonna see like them go back or anything.
Like as I said, the
Maybe
way
a hand
that
joke
you're talking
there.
about, the way that you mean, yes, it will have effect. But what I'm saying is that without this movie, most of the things that you mentioned would have still happened anyways, and had the same bearing anyways.
Any
Flash
character growth?
Sentry is about the only thing they really added that has any bearing that you need the movie to have a greater understanding of.
True.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so like
And
if
the
there's an
fact that
episode
not
where they go
everyone
on a
wants to see the
date.
movie.
All right, guys. I think we should probably be getting to the wrap up point here.
All right.
All right.
Okay, so I think that has been all of our main bases covered, and that concludes today's show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I sure did, but of course, the show's not over until the fat lady sings, or at least in this case, until our panelists ask our panelists our usual fun questions to bookend our episodes.
Oh God.
Yes, we have to have these random fun questions every episode.
Got
I'll
about
come
right.
up with these.
Okay. All right, guys. So here's the 3 I have for you all. What is your favorite song from Equestria Girls? If you have a favorite thing about the Equestrian Critics Society, what is it and why? And would you be interested to see an inverse story of Equestria Girls? Say a human gets stuck in Equestria and has to do something in Equestria before going back. So, Silent Sir, how about you take it away first?
All right, so for the first question, my favorite song, that would probably have to be the cafeteria one. Just because when the beat started, all I could think of was we will rock you. Just
Yeah, absolutely.
Same.
My favorite thing about the Equestrian Critics Society has to be the thoroughness of the reviews. You know, they don't just do it. There's a purpose for both the reader and the writer to take something out of it. And then a reverse story, I don't really like the idea of, just because, I mean, I would have to see how it would come to be, not just, you know, a guy randomly gets sucked into a portal or something that just magically appears. There would have to be some sort of build up to it for me.
Hey, Digibrony's back.
Hey.
There he is again.
He might have just disconnected. His internet might have dropped. He might be
Hello?
back in without actually being back in.
Oh,
All
no.
right, but
Oh, no,
yeah,
he's there.
Digi, we're in our wrap up point. We're asking our fun questions.
Hey.
Okay, we got Silencer's take. So, who the hell did I have next on this list? I had a proper order to this. Carts Before Horses. Carts Before Horses. That's right.
Hey.
Would you like to tell us what is your favorite song from Equestria Girls? If you have a favorite thing about the Equestrian Critics Society, what is it and why? And would you be interested to see an inverse story of Equestria Girls?
Okay. My favorite song, probably the cafeteria one. I think that's like everybody's favorite, but that one was like the most memorable to me.
Which one was
and that was I forget how it goes. That goes to show you like even that one. But I mean that was probably my favorite out of all of them. And then my favorite thing about the Equestrian Critics Society is that, you know, you guys help authors to become better authors, and I can really respect that. As for if I'd like to see a reverse of Equestria Girls. Yes, I would, and I think it would be quite interesting. And I think if they pulled it off, it could be funny. But only if they could pull it off would I be interested in seeing.
Interesting. Kori Kitsune, would you like to answer our questions?
Favorite song was probably the remixed opening. Favorite part of the Critics Society, probably these.
SD3 show?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And would I like to see a reverse? No. If I want one of those, we got Film Fiction. There's thousands of them there. And they probably, most of them are probably better than what the writers would come up with.
Maybe.
Some of them.
But hey, even if they, I even meant like fan fiction could include this too. So would you like to see a fan fiction of that or read one?
I don't like those kinds of stories, really.
I've already written one about that, so there you go.
Okay. So, Pissfer, your take.
I think I probably have to go with the remix opening as well, because everything else reminded me too much of, as I said in the opening, everything else really reminded me of very pop songy stuff.
Yep.
I can't remember the second one.
If you have a favorite thing about the Equestrian Critics Society.
Well, as I think I said this one in my opening as well, which was I like this. I like this discussion that you can get going on these live streams. That's probably my favorite part about Equestrian Critics Society.
Okie doke. And then the inverse story of Equestria Girls.
The main problem I would see with that is that it would be weird if Twilight was involved in the story, because it would be like, hey, we've already done this before. So like if you did something along the lines of the story that a guy I know, anyone familiar with the Weller's stuff, he's got one hell of a thing written up where he goes 100 years into the future, where is it 100 years? I think it is. Vinyl Scratch is still alive somehow. Anyways, and if you brought someone into a world like that, where obviously the world that we're used to had an influence on it, but wasn't so for a show, no. For a fan fiction, possibly, but still probably not, because really it just seems like a way to put a human OC into the pony world.
Fair enough. Plebeian.
All right. Yeah, my favorite song, I'd have to agree with the remixed opening theme, because it was really something new that I liked, and it sort of started it off on a good note, like, hey, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be.
It's got electronic music in it. Of course it's
got. It's gotta be good. Yeah, I really like electronic stuff.
There we go. The remix was by Daniel. I wasn't sure who did the remix.
Yeah. Let's see. As far as my favorite thing about the Equestrian Critics Society, I'd say this was a great welcome. I mean, I joined just a few days ago, and now I'm on the live stream. And then there's definitely the fact that these are all people trying to help others learn how to write, not just tell them what they thought. It's all a learning process. So it's really a great service to everyone.
And we do our best. But last question, what would you like to see an inverse of Equestria Girls? A human being in Equestria. Would you like to see that?
They'd have to do a really good job of making it like actually tie in to what the actual show is doing. Like,
it has to be important.
Yeah. Otherwise it would just seem odd. Like, I don't really have any reason to follow these human characters. I don't really have any previously established connection to them. There's no love for these people.
Fair enough. Feather Scratch. Scratchy feathers. Itchy feathers, whatever. Would you like to answer our questions?
Oh dear. Favorite song. Actually, my favorite was It was the song Twilight sung when she first went into the human world, when she was just learning to be a human. For the life of me, I can't remember what it was called, but it was the only one that actually felt to me like a My Little Pony song.
I don't know.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember it.
I can't either.
I think I might have been in the bathroom for that part. I'll have to rewatch it to see that.
All right, Feather, if you have a favorite thing about TECS, what would it be and why?
Well, as I said at the start of the show, I'm brand new to this critic society, so for now, I'd say these chats are the best thing about it. I had great fun here. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else the society has to offer.
Fair enough. And Digibrony, special guest Digibrony, the insane Digibrony we all love so much. Please tell us, what are the answers to our silly questions?
Well, as for my favorite song from Equestria Girls, it would probably have to be, like you guys, I wasn't that into the music for the most part, but there's this song when they're cleaning up the auditorium, like after it got thrashed, and they're all cleaning it, and it was a song that had this really interesting sort of drums in it, and I guess that was kind of cool, and I like that song.
I believe the title was "Time to Come Together." I'm looking at the credits right now.
Right. Yeah. So that one was pretty okay. None of it really grabbed me yet, but that is often true of My Little Pony songs. I usually get into them a little later after I've heard them more times and stuff. As for the Equestrian critics,
you can skip that one, did you?
Yeah, I'm not actually in the Equestrian Critics Society, so I can't really comment on it.
You're just here for no reason.
You like the live stream.
You're the extra.
You're like me.
And as for if I would like to see a human go into Equestria and turn into a pony and all that, only if it's me.
Okay. Who's the right? Which writers are in here? Who's getting on that?
I've already got There's already a story I have about Digibrony being in Equestria, so like I've already done it myself.
You have to go back and rewrite your first chapter now.
Oh God.
I'm tempted to put him in my story now.
We had a live stream discussing this very strange thing once, and then somehow I ended up in Equestria.
My computer opened a portal and I just sort of got sucked in.
Whoops.
Teleport now.
Those stories
EquestriaPortal.exe.
No, he just has to play Portal, and there he goes.
Yep.
All right, awesome. So there you have it, folks. That wraps up episode 15 of SD3. I hope you all enjoyed it. I know I had a blast. And more importantly, though, to all you TECS viewers out there, thanks for making our group awesome. You're the best. Thank you, panelists, for joining us today. Just botched my English again there. And I hope you guys had just as much fun as I have.
I sure did.
Absolutely. Great fun.
Yep.